On this episode, we're talking about lynching blacks in uniform, a history of violence and oppression behind clothing. Let's go. Edgar R. Huff was one of the first black men to join the Marine Corps. After completing boot camp, he was ordered to return home to Alabama to see his ailing mother. Upon arriving at the bus depot in Atlanta, Huff stepped off the bus in a newly earned Marine Corps dress uniform and was approached by two Marine Corps military police. He was accused of impersonating a Marine, even after showing his official credentials. The officers replied, "Ain't no N-word in the Marine Corps." He was arrested and spent 7 days in jail, including Christmas. He was forced to work detail in his Marine Corps dress uniform, and he was ignored by other white Marine officers who stopped by the jail to retrieve other incarcerated Marines. In December of 1918, just weeks after the end of World War I, a black soldier named Charles Lewis was standing on the street in his uniform when a white police officer began harassing him and claimed he fit the description of a robbery suspect. When Mr. Lewis insisted that he was a soldier with no reason to rob anyone, the officer accused him of assault and arrested him. The next morning, a mob of white men broke into the jail, seized Mr. Lewis, and hung him. In August of 1944, the white owner of a small restaurant in Shreveport, Louisiana, shot and wounded 4 black soldiers he claimed attempted to take over his place. He faced no charges. Wilbur Little was a black United States veteran of World War I who was lynched in April of 1919 in his hometown of Blakely, Georgia, for refusing to remove his military uniform. Wilbur was at a train station when he was approached by a group of white men who demanded he remove his uniform. He had no clothes to change into and therefore did not remove his uniform. Wilbur was hung and burned. At Bardstown in Nelson County, Kentucky, a mob brutally lynched a United States Colored Troop veteran. We learned that the mob stripped him of his clothes, beat him, and then cut off his sexual organs. He was then forced to run while he bled out, and then they hung him from a bridge outside of town while they shot him. Private Felix Hall was found lynched from a tree on 28 March 1941 on Fort Benning Army Base. Hall was a 19-year-old black teenager from Millbrook, Alabama. The case was ultimately investigated by the FBI, but no one was ever brought to justice. FBI investigators suggested that Army officials refused to look for Private Hall after he was declared missing because they believed him to be a deserter. Army officials then tried to claim that Hall died by suicide, even though his hands were tied behind his back. He remains the only black soldier to be lynched on a military base. There is no known gravesite for Private Felix Hall. In 1946, Sergeant Isaac Woodard was viciously beaten and blinded by police officers in Batesburg, South Carolina for wearing his military uniform. Officers hammered his eyes in, leaving him permanently blind. All officers were acquitted at trial. Now you know. Welcome to